Good morning, Crossroads. I hope you guys are all doing amazing on this incredible Friday, or whatever day it is you're watching this, because I don't know. I don't control your schedule, and most of you don't control your schedules either. I love texting. Sometimes I text some of the guys. I'm like, hey, are we doing this on Friday? And they're like, well, let me check with my mom. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, know your schedule. Know your schedule. That's all I can say. But anyway, that's beside the point. Last week, we talked about Abraham and Isaac, and we talked about this Abrahamic covenant that God made Abraham, because Abrahamic covenant, and we talked about how that meant Abraham would have a lot of descendants, and he would be the father of a great nation, and what we soon realized is that nation that Abraham would be a father of is Israel. That's the nation that Abraham was going to be a father of. And so Abraham had Isaac, and God gave Abraham a son, and then God told him, I want you to sacrifice your son on an altar. And Abraham, as you can imagine, probably felt so torn, but in the end, he held to God's promise, and he said, I know this circumstance doesn't make sense, and what's going on doesn't make sense, but I'm going to remember your promise and obey your commands. And because Abraham held to that promise more than he held to what was going on around him, God said, I want you to stop. He said, you've proved yourself faithful. Now I know that you believe in me. And Abraham proved that God's promise was greater than his circumstance. And I just want you guys to know that whatever circumstance you're going through right now, God's promise to you is greater than that circumstance. But not only that, I just want to talk quickly about another thought that I pulled out of this story that I think is applicable for all of us. And that is that God's gifts are not our guarantee. God's gifts are not our guarantee. You see, in this situation where Abraham was looking at Isaac and it was his son. It was the son that God promised him. It was the son that was supposed to be the father, and the generations to come were going to come from this son. Like, that was the guy, and now God's telling him to kill him. And you know what's crazy about that is Abraham, in that moment, could have trusted in his son. That was the tension in this moment. And so Abraham had to decide that he was going to trust in God more than he was going to trust in Isaac. Because Isaac was the gift. Isaac was the gift that God gave to Abraham. But Isaac was not the guarantee. You see, the guarantee was God. And a lot of times in our lives, when we feel called to something, or maybe you just feel talented at something and you want to pursue it, you start to believe that your gift is your guarantee. Maybe you're good at singing, and so you join the worship team and you want to lead that, and you think that's God's will for your life, and you think you can accomplish God's will for your life because of your gift. But in reality, you can't accomplish God's will in your life because of your gift. In reality, you accomplish God's will for your life because you have God. You know, I used this analogy once before, but if I tomorrow lost my voice and I could never speak again, and I believe in my life that I'm called to ministry and I'm called to be there for people, and right now I'm called to public speaking. That's what I'm supposed to do. And if I believe that my voice was what guaranteed me to complete God's will for my life, then I'm trusting in the wrong thing. And if I lose my voice tomorrow, I'm going to be lost. But the truth is, if I lose my voice tomorrow, God's will for my life doesn't change at all. Now, it might look a little different, but I have to ask myself, did God call me to ministry or did he not? And if he called me to ministry and I lose my voice, his calling doesn't change. It might look a little different, sure, but it doesn't change because God's gift to me is not my guarantee. And I don't know where that applies to you in your life today. Maybe you're at a place where you feel like God is taking your gift, or maybe you're at a point in your life where you feel like everything you were once good at is slipping away from you and you just don't know what your life looks like. Well, the truth is that God will be there no matter what. And we have to put God first. And we have to know that God is our guarantee, always. And he'll always be there. And we don't accomplish his purpose in our lives through our own strength or through our own gifts or through our own abilities, but we accomplish it because of his strength. And so I just want to challenge you to put the first thing first in your life, and that's God. So if that made sense, I really hope it was helpful to you. If you have any more questions about it, or maybe you just don't quite understand how to put God first, or how you're not trusting in your gifts over God, if you have any more questions about it, I would love to talk to you more about it. You can reach out to me or anyone here at Crossroads, because we're here for you. We love you and we want to do this with you. With that being said, I'll leave you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.